Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mike Armstrong podcast show. And this afternoon, I'm joined by Jon Saunders, who's joining me again. John's from, he's the GM of Prysm Nightclub, which is part of the Deltic Group. And how are you doing today, John? You okay?
Yeah, really well. Thanks, mate. I'm really well. Thank you. Really well. All the better after speaking to you.
Good, good, good. Yeah, it's always good to catch up with you as well. And I know you've been busy during the lockdown period. Obviously, I had you on in an earlier episode on my podcast, but not on my YouTube channel, and where we talked about you being on furlough, etc. Obviously, because you're in the nightclub game, the hospitality industry. And at the time, you were doing a lot of Ironman training and that sort of thing because you were on furlough and you couldn't really work and stuff. But yeah, how's things been now? Now things are starting to open up again for you.
Yeah, good, mate. To be honest, you know me more than most. I'm quite an itchy guy anyway, so I like to keep myself busy. I like to be in front of things. And look, obviously, it was such a frustrating time not being open. Yeah, some good news actually. We're looking like as though we're going to be opening next Friday. So
Oh, that's good news.
yeah, it's gone from one extreme to the other. So yeah, look, really, really positive. And I just think it's a real, to be closed is criminal. We always speak about sweat in the venue. At the moment, the venue definitely isn't being sweat at all. And look, yeah, we're excited about getting opening for next week. So at least there's some green shoots going on in the leisure industry at the moment.
Yeah, what night you having next Friday then? What sort of entertainment you got on?
Yeah, but it's tough, mate. It's tough. My normal opening night, I've opened many a venue in my time. A normal opening night would be all shebang, but this one isn't going to be that at all. It'll be open safely as opposed to entertainingly.
Yeah.
If there is such a word as that, which is different. It is different, but we'll probably have more of a milestone to open this time than we ever have done.
Yeah, and what sort of changes have you had to make? I guess the capacity's gone down. You had to move seating around, maybe spacing on the floor, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, look, it's tough. It's real tough. I mean, I've seen a couple of videos being put out there by other operators, and I can't talk for Deltic necessarily, but the wider game. And it's hard, it's hard because it takes away, as human beings, we are naturally want to engage with people, And what we're saying at the moment then is, yeah, you can come back into a pub or a bar, but you can't do what you used to do here. So, with that in mind, it's tough, isn't it? It's a bit tougher, but yeah, we've got extra seating outside. We've got, table service, which is actually really good because it's something I wanted to bring in anyway. So it's part and parcel of something that, it's forced us to do it as opposed to actually us wanting to do it.
Yeah, and app service is it as well. App service at the table.
Yeah, we haven't got the app service to start with. I think it's something the company are looking for. We're not food orientated really. We've got a bit of food going on. It is more drinks. So it's never really, we've never really been known for table service. But in certain parts, I'm pretty sure they are doing that in other bars. But we haven't got that here yet. But I know in Revolution they've got that, the apps, and they've got, in the Stone Gates and the big businesses that do table service with food. That's something they've really brought in. But that's something that we haven't done yet. But I'm sure we will be looking at.
Yeah, definitely. And I tell you, there's a good strategy for nightclubs. People like to dance around their handbag. We've just got to sell 2 meter wide handbags.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I'm writing that down as we speak. 2 meter handbags as they come in.
You could have, because people do like to dance together, you could have, what are we looking at? Probably about, say, 3 meter wide circles where there's a handbag in the middle painted on the floor and there's people dancing either side of the circle.
Yeah, mate. I like that. I think you should patent that 2 meters handbags. You should do that. But look, I think we're gonna. What's really interesting is I've got a lot of good friends and a lot of good operators down, especially in Brighton, hotel wise, and they've opened up. I mean, they've opened up 30 to 50% capacity, and there's you could argue that's not good enough, but actually it's a good time to get yourself back into the new way of running things. So I think the same will happen with us, and I think we'll open slowly, but we'll gather momentum as it goes,
Yeah, the good thing with you is you are in Brighton's biggest venue.
Oh yeah, 100%, mate. And I think that comes, as we've spoken before, it comes with its advantages and disadvantages. There's a lot more advantages than disadvantages. In this circumstance, when they start loosening up, we'll be the first to jump on any opportunity. So that's exactly where we're going to go, and that's how we're going to get there. So I think we ended. It's a shame we ended when we did, because the venue was flying. When we closed, we were in a really good, strong position. Building a great little team, and we were busy. So I can't see why that wouldn't happen when we reopen.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll snap back. And Brighton's always packed in the summer, but who knows what it's going to be like. I guess the beaches and those sort of areas have been quite busy because people have been flocking to the beaches when it's been warm. Has Brighton been getting that as well?
Yeah, it's been busy, mate. The thing is, I know Wales is a bit behind us, and I came back this week. I'm going to say this week for the record, because it was the 5 mile rule. But yeah, we came back, and look, Wales is a bit behind where we are with opening things up. But what you'll notice over the next week, you probably have already noticed, is that it'll try and go back to a bit of normality pretty quickly. So Brighton's been pretty busy, to be fair. On Friday, Saturday, just got on. It was really busy down the seafront. I'm not going to get into maybe the social distancing side of it, but there was a lot of it being adhered to. But how much that I saw those Bournemouth photos, and certainly not as bad as all that. When you come down and have a look at it, people are distanced.
Yeah, they take the picture from a mile away, and it looks like everyone's close. But actually, if you get there, there's still like a meter around everyone in most situations.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. I mean, and that's the same down here. The beach is big enough. I mean, I'm lucky enough. I live about half an hour away on a massive beach, and you could sit anywhere around there and no one around you. But if you took it from a side angle, it looks pretty busy. So, it is one of those ones, mate. But no, answer your question. Yeah, Brighton will be busy through the summer. Hence why I want to open now is because I think every time we're not open, we're missing an opportunity. But in all fairness, where Celtic are at, they want to open us safely. And they want to open us in a way that we're not in a rush to do this. This is a long-term, we don't want to spoil it for everyone in order to doing it wrong. Let's do it right. So, which is why we're doing it next Friday and giving us a week to crack on with,
Yeah, definitely. And obviously you're a popular sort of stag and hen destination as well. Have those bookings been coming back in, or are you expecting them to come back in now?
Yeah, I think they're starting to. People want to come back, you know what I mean? So people want to come back in, and, we've unfortunately had to give refunds, or there's a few bookings that have moved over to next year. But I think when you have that time to do it, is the time you've got to do it, or you don't, because people are coming from quite afar. But I think when we can propose a date for the club to open, I think those bookings will start coming in. To be honest, we haven't seen loads of it. We haven't been inundated with bookings because it's very still uncertain times, isn't it? But I think when we get that definitive time and date, like when the airlines opened up to go to Spain, and they all went bonkers then when they knew exactly they could do it. I know when we get the okay, the bookings will start flying back in, and we'll pick up where we left off.
Yeah, it's a bit like the tourist sector in Wales. Apparently, they've had their dates now, haven't they? And it's been flying. People because of the staycation and you should benefit, get a bit of a bounce of the staycation in benefit.
I agree. And Brighton's that place you come down to, mate. Don't get me wrong. Brighton's a great place to live, great place to be. The outskirts are beautiful. If you want to go to the beach, it's got everything you want. So there's no reason why. I'm not trying to plug just because I sit on the Brighton Tourism Board. I'm not trying to be trying to plug it too much, but it is the sort of place. Why wouldn't you come down in the sun and have a weekend down here? It's a great staycation place to come.
Yeah, I've been down there plenty of times, and I love it. It's a great place, like you say. I like busy, places as well. So it's busy, but plenty of space there as well, and lots of different things you can do if you want to,
Yeah, exactly. It's like Cardiff in the background, mate. It looks like a lovely day behind you. It's looks like a cracker.
I say they're very similar places. I think Cardiff's a bit bigger, I think, than Brighton, but probably Brighton gets more, influx of people, in the summer period, especially. But very similar sort of cities, I'd say.
I think so. And funny enough, I was on a call last week with the Global Welsh guys. One of my close friends. It's surprising how many. I went to Croesy Cardiff Comprehensive School, and so many who went to Croatia Caerleog have moved on and done things. And I've got one of my friends has moved to Tokyo, and she represented Global Welsh when the Rugby World Cup was out there. And she hooked me up with them, because I think there's a lot of inward investment and exward, a lot of linkage with Brighton, compared to for Wales, because they're very similar. And when there's similarities, as you know, where there's similarities, the business can be done. Because people in Cardiff and Wales, they buy off people. They don't buy off, it's a village mentality. If they trust you, they'll buy off you. And Brighton's got a very similar environment with that. That's why I believe there's a lot of synergy regarding bringing business down here and business back over. I think there is, because Brighton is very similar to Cardiff and the Welsh mentality,
Yeah, definitely. And that's, I think seems to be quite a lot of Essex people in Brighton as well. And the Essex people get on well with Wales as well. Obviously, there's the Gavin and Stacey connection. But I think people in Essex and people in Wales, they like a good time. They like to party. They're generally down to earth. They are what you see, sort of thing. Like, they're not pretentious or false. They are. They like to have a good time, and get on with it. Like,
Yeah, it's very. Look, don't get me wrong. It's not Wales. Wales, again, being an expat, I suppose I can say it now. I've only been away a year and a half, but Wales is a special place with that. People who get on. I've always said it, and will always be a passionate Welshman. But people are kind down here, and they are hello in the morning, and you miss that in certain elements. I've lived in London. I've lived all around the country near enough. In different times of my life, and Brighton and the surrounding area in Sussex has got a very, very closely linked to Wales on that level,
Yeah, definitely. And I know you were doing a lot of Ironman while you were on the furlough and that sort of thing. But like you said, you're quite an itchy person. I'm sure you were looking into some other things. What else have you sort of been up to during that time?
Well, it was good actually, because at the same time I finished the Ironman. One of the guys I used to play Aussie Rules back in Cardiff, funny enough, with my brother and a load of the guys, really good bunch of lads. And they were doing a challenge to walk miles to the MCG in Australia. So in essence, 30 players, 16,000 miles. And then you had to do, whoever gets there first out of the European nations, wins like £2,000 towards kit and travel. And so to be fair, Wales are winning that. And we're beating Scotland. There's us and Scotland pipping each other, which is a really close contest. So I've just kept running and walking. What did we do last week? I did 120 kilometers last week. And I'm aiming for 140 this week. So the main inward competition is me versus my brother, because I'm quite a competitive person with my younger brother.
I was going to say, are you leading the charge on that for Wales?
I've definitely led the charge. My brother's not picked up the baton really. He's not nibbled one little bit. I've tried to really entice him into trying to get competitive, but he's not interested. Whereas actually all the rest of them are quite competitive. So, I'm just competing against myself. All I've really set myself is it's going to take 16 weeks. I want to beat myself every week. And, the week before last I did 100, then I did 120. I'll do 140 this week. And, I think by the end of it, I could be on 200 and something plus kilometers, which is good. So it's just kept me active, mate, really. So that's what I'm up to at the moment.
So is that outward cycling, or is that, on a bike or whatever?
No. It's just running and walking. So it's
running and walking, is it? Okay. You're running to work every day then, are you?
Near enough. I'm doing about, so I did 20K yesterday. It doesn't have to be running. I've run a bit, I've walked a bit. I love walking anyway, as I know you do.
Well, it's a lovely walk as well, isn't it? From where you.
I think the Seven Sisters is the most walked place in the UK as a tourist attraction, and that's right on our doorstep, a mile away. So I do that quite often. It's beautiful on a nice day, even on a bad day. I love it. I love it with the wind and the rain. I prefer it because no one else is there.
Well, I've just got used to that. I used to be a fair weather rider, but because I'm on this 75-day challenge, the 75 hard, I'm having to go out every day, whenever, and luckily it hasn't been raining too bad, but I probably got soaking wet about 3 or 4 times. And as long as it's not freezing cold soaking wet, it's not too bad, is it really? Are you still there, John?
Oh, that's it. As long as I don't mind, mate. I prefer it being the worse the better for me. Yeah. I don't know what the reception went there, mate.
Yeah, you just paused for a bit, but you're back. Not to worry. But yeah, well, the sort of the worse it is, the more you feel good about the fact that you're doing it.
Yeah, exactly, mate. I love it. The harder the better. I prefer it that way.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, so you were saying, you've been given an opportunity, Emily, during the lockdown period. You were saying one of the guys from the Aussie Rules team.
What's that, mate? Say that again. I missed
You
that.
were saying about you were speaking to one of the guys from the Aussie Rules. You went into talking about the actual cycling and stuff, but you said you had an opportunity or something you were looking into with one of the guys.
Yeah. Well, I suppose since furlough, I've been trying to keep myself active. So I've joined. I got approached by a company in Brighton, actually, Seiko. So I got involved in. I'm actually, doing some some business development for a mortgage broker, which has been really good. I've really thoroughly enjoyed that, actually. So I mean, I'm like yourself. I'm very personable, and I've never really done business development. So it's come as it's nice just opening doors. I've put 3 or 4 their way in the last week or so. So that's been really, really positive, actually, through furlough. And then, another opportunity popped about. I haven't really looked at that yet, but a guy that I know through Aussie Rules has got a non-alcoholic gin company. So obviously being a non-drinker that I am, and I've been in the industry for 22 years. He's asked me whether I could help him with that, which, it depends how that goes with whether that conflict of interest or not with work. So I've looked at that, but I'm not sure how that's going to go forward. But the Seiko stuff with the mortgages has been brilliant with Rob Starr. Rob Starr's a top guy. He's the CEO, and he runs the Star Trust as well, which I've done a bit of charity work with as well down here. So look, that's worked out really well, mate. So I'm going to continue that until I'm back off furlough.
Yeah. Okay. And what's the sort of mortgage situations like at the moment? Is the business still happening, and are people still looking and all that?
Yeah, look, it's buoyant, isn't it? I mean, the thing is with the Chancellor, in all fairness to him, he's trying to keep it as buoyant as he can. I mean, the interest rates are as low as they're going to be, so it's definitely going to favour anyone that wants to be speculative and get in the market. And then also, obviously, the stamp duties come down, till March 31st on any property under 500 grand. So, you could save, that's going to save anyone up to maybe anything between 10 to 50 grand, depending on where, your stamp duty goes. So, there's some big things going on in the market at the moment. And obviously Boris Johnson is talking about building, isn't he? So that means there's going to be this, he wants us to actively get out there and build. So I think the actual market itself is buoyant. The bit for me is that, as you well know with anything, when you start, you've got to get people to know what you're doing. So for me, it's trying to get the pipeline going to get that moving. But ultimately, anyone I'm speaking to is, it's the know, like, trust, isn't it? And if there's one thing I hold myself on, I like to think that people can trust me. So, and I'll try not to ever let someone down. So ultimately, and that is what's happened over the last 4 or 5 that I've done.
Yeah, well, I'm building. I'm part of a LinkedIn pod, but I'm building another one for myself because I'm part of a pod. And this is something you can join my pod, but you should also set up a pod down in Brighton as well, or across the UK for yourself, And what you basically do is you get 20 people to join together in a group, so like a network, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you agree on a time of the day that you're going to post something on LinkedIn. Yeah. And then you post it on LinkedIn and copy and paste the link to the post and stick it into a WhatsApp group with the 20 people in.
All right.
And basically, if you get 10 people like and comment on the post within the first hour, it goes viral.
All right.
So instead of it reaching about 50 people on average, my post, instead of them reaching 50, it'll reach 500. So 10 times as many people. Yeah. And that's all about going in the first hour. So basically, if you have 20, then 10 people should get on and click, like and comment within that first hour. If you're all agreeing
Right.
to do it at, say, 10 o'clock in the morning, or 6 o'clock in the evening, or like the one I'm in at
That's
the moment.
that's for the algorithm, is it? That plays the algorithm.
Yeah, it's basically a bit like Google search engine rankings or whatever. LinkedIn have search rankings or content rankings, and any content that's showing good engagement early on gets reshared amongst the people who've liked it and comment on it, their wider community. So instead of
Oh,
the
that's
post
great.
going to your community, it goes to their communities. So if you had 10 people like and comment, so the more people who like and comment in that hour, the more communities it goes to. So if you get
Yeah,
18
yeah, yeah.
likes or comments, that would be better than 10. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, totally. That's great, that.
So yeah, that's the strategy. I've been doing it for a couple of weeks, and I've had quite a few go viral.
That's really good. I like that. I've noted that down.
Yeah, good. And yeah, another thing you want to do, obviously, you do a lot of networking. You want to find yourself, people in that, property development, business, financial space. But people offering like insurances and other financial products that you can pass leads on to, and they pass leads back to you. Trying to think what else I'd be doing if I was doing what you're doing there. Obviously, incentives, vouchers and that sort
Referral.
of thing. Vouchers always work. Refer me on a referral scheme. You said you passed a few bits of business on. Well, do a bit like a coupon or something. For one person they get a £20 voucher. For two people they get a £50 voucher, and for three people they get a £100 voucher.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something like
well, I love that. I think that's really good. I said the referral scheme is definitely something that's on my radar to get done.
Yeah. Yeah, well, what you can do, which saves time with the referral scheme, is a lot of the time, until you get into the habit of asking for referrals, you forget to ask them. But if you
Yeah,
for example, go onto a Zoom and record yourself with your background on and your contact details,
yeah.
telling people the referral scheme, whatever the program is, film it as a video, and then whenever you meet people, send them the video. Or once you get a
Send in
lead
the
off
actual
them,
video.
send them the video.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So create a
That's great.
process, and then now and then you won't have to kick yourself and go, oh no, I forgot to ask him about referrals. Because you just
Yeah,
sent the video at the time you
you got it
remembered.
on.
So
I
little
like that. That's
strategies
really
like
good. I'm
that.
going to jot that down.
Yeah, lots of little strategies like that. It's all about habits, good habit forming, and it can take 28 days or longer to form a good habit. So
Yeah, yeah, of course you can.
if you
Yeah,
just try and get into the habit of asking people when you're speaking to them, but always just have a backup plan of a video which you can just bang on. And the other thing as well, you can create a couple more videos with things like not just referrals from clients, but maybe lead referral partners. So you could turn around to them and send them a video and say, oh, nice to meet you networking. By the way, just to remind you, I'm the one who does the mortgages or whatever. If
yeah,
you know anyone who's in the mortgage game, send them my way. And, there'll be a drink in it for you, or a drinks voucher or whatever,
yeah, yeah. I love that. I started doing that when we spoke a couple of weeks ago, actually. So that was really good. I haven't had a lot of response yet, but to be honest, it's the time split now, really. So, but actually, it's part of my strategy now going forward. So yeah, look, I'm taking that on board for
Well,
definite.
if you write the script right in the video, you can make it multi-purpose, and you can post that on LinkedIn, and then get that to get 10 likes and get 10 comments, and then that will go further. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
The other thing which I do as well is I do a lot of posting on LinkedIn, so I don't ask all my circle constantly to like and engage. But if
yeah,
I do a post that I want people to see, I want to go viral. So say for example, it was that referral video with an offer of a voucher or something, and that was like your major marketing message of the month. Yeah.
yeah.
What I do is I grab the link, and when I'm putting it into my WhatsApp group, I also send it around to my friends.
All right.
Associates or whoever. And I say, listen, click on this. Do me a favor. I want this particular post to go far. Can you
Yeah.
comment on it, And
All right.
I've managed to send it around to 10, 15, 20 people sometimes on Messenger, and then you're guaranteed to get your 10 or your 15 or your 20 likes. So then, like one of my posts which I did that on, I actually had about 1,500 views, I think.
How many views?
About three times the three. So I get on average between 20 and 50 views on most of my content. If I get my 10 likes and my 10 comments, it goes to about 500. But if you can work it to get 18, 20 odd likes and comments, yeah, if you really work it, it can go to 1,500 and that sort of thing. So, you know,
I've started doing something on LinkedIn with that actually, and it's working really well. I did one yesterday. One of my very good friends became the chair of the IOD yesterday, Institute of Directors for Wales.
I didn't know he was a contact of yours, but I seen the post about a new director.
Yeah, but that post alone, because it got commented on it like about 8, 9 times last night. Actually, it's already gone to reach about 9,000 views.
Yeah.
So that's an example of exactly what you're saying. And
that's good, isn't it? You know. So what happens is, where that would have gone to 9,000 odd is because the people who were liking and commenting would have had bigger circles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you form your pod with people like me who got massive audiences, so obviously the pod I'm in at the moment is it's not necessarily massive networkers. It's like IT people. They're all sorts of different people. It's actually run by a guy who's in the Midlands. He's an expat, and he's set it up. It's called Biz Network Wales. And he's got a networking event on Thursday morning, and also Thursday lunchtime, where he's trying to build a network as well. But they're all, you know, sort of like IT people, video people, and that sort of thing. They're not massive networkers, so their networks on their own LinkedIn will be quite small in comparison to some. Whereas I'm looking to build my pod with people who are massive networkers who've got massive LinkedIns. You know, because that's what I've got. I've got about 3 accounts, so that's an advantage to me as well, because I can go on and like and comment my own stuff. Because I got 3 accounts, but each of those accounts have got like 5,000 friends each, like now. So therefore, I can reach 50,000 people if I need to.
So I meant to ask, actually, how's it going for you?
It's been good for me. The lockdown period, I'm somebody who I spent a long time under pressurized sales positions, sales management, big targets, big pressure, and I thrive under that pressure. And I suppose, you know, 6 months after I went self-employed, I went through a divorce. And so I went for a couple of years just chilling out, partying, not putting myself under any pressure and enjoying life. And that's good for, you know, for enjoying life, especially when you've been in a high pressurized sales environment all your life. It's good to have a bit of a chill and a bit of a me time. But, you know, I realized that, you know, really I need to, you know, most people need to put themselves under some sort of pressure to perform. And so, like, you know, probably a few years ago, I started putting myself under more and more pressure. And I find, you know, I perform better under pressure. I'm used to it. It's what I need. Like, I've worked to deadlines and targets and whatever all my life. So I've started pressurizing myself more, especially the lockdown. And actually, the lockdown situation brings the best out of me, because I believe when the going gets tough, the tough get going. As that famous philosopher of the 80s used to say.
I agree.
No, but you know, sometimes you know you need, if you're a battler, if you're a warrior, I would say actually you're a warrior and I'm a warrior. We're warriors. We like to battle. You know what I mean? That's why you do Ironman. That's why I'm doing a 75-day hard challenge, because I seen the challenge, I seen it, and then I read about it, and I thought that's hard. I'll do it. You know what I mean?
How's that going? How's the challenge going?
It's great. Yeah, I'm about 41 days in, I think, something like that. I'm over halfway through, so it'll get done.
That's good.
And I enjoy testing myself and challenging myself. And it was a mental toughness challenge. And so, you know, the lockdown situation was a mental toughness challenge, and I was already doing well in that. So that's what led me to go and do this 75-day challenge. I'd already been doing my own challenge for about 2-3 months before I started this one, like, you know. So it was just a step up. It was just a step up, you know. But, you know, I want to become a global speaker, as you know. And to me, if you want to operate on those levels, you've got to be, you know, in top levels of performance, really. You know what I mean? You've got to be sharp. You've got to be... So, like, I'm already mentally tough, but I thought, well, I'll do a mental toughness challenge to just, you know, sharpen up a bit, you know? It's all about marginal gains, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is, yeah. And the marginal gains, they're working for you?
Yeah, well, you know... I decided when I started my podcast, for example, which is one of the ways I want to become known in order to become a speaker, and I started my podcast, I was going to do it originally once a week, because I thought, well, you know, I can manage once a week. And then I thought, actually, I got more to say than that, so I did it once a day. Then I upped it to 3 times a day, and I've set myself a challenge at the moment, because I'm reading, I'm listening on the audiobook to Grant Cardone's 10X audiobook. And I'm also
Right.
listening to, I've done Rich Dad, Poor Dad and Think and Grow Rich, which are the business Bibles, really. And I'm reading another one at the moment, which is called The Magic of Thinking Big. And I'm also reading another one, which is The Psychology of Sales, Brian Tracy. And
Yeah, is that with Brian Tracy? How was that for the that event? Looked really good actually on the.
yeah, it was awesome. And I go on events like, once or twice a week to listen to top people. There's Zig Ziglar on Intrabiz tonight. Tom Ziglar, son of Zig Ziglar. And next week there's Dr. John DeMartini, who's a legend, like, one of the most intelligent men you'll meet, similar to Brian Tracy, both legends, like, And
Yeah. But
I'm getting so much of this stuff in me because I want to be the best at what I do. I want to be the best speaker in the world. I want to be the best trainer in the world, the best coach, the mentor. To me, there's no point aiming for anywhere other than top spot. You know what I mean? So that's the way I look at it. You go for number one, and then you ain't happy and you don't settle until you get to number one.
Yeah, totally. No, I know. I totally agree with you, mate.
You know what I mean?
Agree.
So I'm learning.
Been good then.
The way I look at it, if you want to be the best in the world, learn off the best in the world. And I'm learning off the best in the world. I'm taking as much information as I can off the best people on the planet. And I'm implementing. So I thought, well, with Grant was telling you about 10xing your targets, if you like. And I thought, well, I'm doing 3 podcasts a day at the moment. I can't 10x that to 30. I said, but my original mission was to do just 1 a day, So I thought, right, I'll 10x that. So now I'm on a target to try and do 10 episodes a day.
And how are you getting on with that?
I've done 9 a couple of times. I've done 6s a few times. And every time I miss it by a bit, I'm thinking, well, I want to average 10 a day. So I'll make it up at some point. And I will. I'll have like a day when I do 20 or 30 and catch up for all the 6s and the 9s and the stuff I do since. But it's just much better. I was smashing 3 a day, getting it done, no problem. So it's much better to have a target that's just a little bit out of reach. So 10 is tough to do a day.
Oh yeah, that's I would say that's tough anyway, generally, isn't it? I think who's your best one you've done so far?
I've had some interesting chats. Probably highest profiles. I've had Kate Strong on, who's a world champion triathlete, from Wales, but won a world champion in Australia. I've had Mark Colburn on, who's an Olympic gold medalist. He was good as well. He's a global speaker. So working with him to try and leverage a bit of his contacts and stuff and a bit of his knowledge. Who else have I had on? We had Jiffy on an Intrabiz event recently, so I recorded some of the chat there and put that on. So I've got that on. I've done that with a few of the other top speakers as well. Had a bit of Les Brown on and whatever.
I bet Les Brown was good. I was gutted I missed that one. Les
Brown was awesome. Yeah, Les Brown is just. I've been listening to quite a lot of Les Brown on YouTube since the build up to the Les Brown coming on Intrabiz and a bit since. And yeah, I like Les Brown. Les Brown is a really good speaker, and that's why I listen to a lot of this content. Listen to all these speakers. To me, you can't help but learn through osmosis. You suck it up, don't you?
Yeah, of course you do. And it's about, learning from the best. And ultimately, there's a load of, I do love the way that we spoke about it offline, didn't we, about how Intrabiz have got these people together. I mean, it's a great place to be. You want to sit down and listen to these people, but ultimately it's about putting into action and getting cracking on with it, isn't it? So,
I use a lot of what I learn in my podcast episodes. I do a morning motivation every day, which is normally combined with a bit of personal development. I do personal development episodes. I do educational episodes on marketing, social media, and sales, which are sort of my 3 niches. So I got episodes on my podcast, which is called King of Marketing, Wolf of Wales.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw you dialed up as King of Marketing.
Yeah. Well, if you have a look at King of Marketing on Google, it's me. I'm the King of Marketing. If Google says I'm the king, I'm the king.
Nice.
I'm also the Wolf of Wales, you know what I mean? So yeah, I keep marketing myself under all of those brands, and at some point I'll be speaking on stages under the King of Marketing, the Voice of Social Media, and the Wolf of Wales, because I'm creating those brands, on my podcast. And then I have lots of entrepreneur chats as well. Some days I get 3 or 4, sometimes even 5 in. So that all goes to my podcast and goes to the YouTube channel. So I'm busy.
So you're mentoring as well? Did I see something about you mentoring?
Yeah, I do some mentoring. I'm doing some sales mentoring, sort of like I would call it probably outsourced sales management with a couple of franchisees of Things Are Doing Limited. A couple of their franchisees. I just chat with them about sales, give them some sales strategy, give them that pressure, which as a franchisee you don't get because it's your business,
Yeah.
But so they
Yeah,
got
that's it.
sales.
So you want it. You want the pressure from, you need the pressure, don't you?
Yeah, it's the same as like, I never applied my own pressure, but now I'm applying my own pressure. But sometimes it's good to have a mentor or a manager or somebody that is keeping you account to what you say you're going to do. So I'm quite good at that. I'm already up my target. I up my own target, I up my target from 3 podcasts a day to 10 a day, and I'm kicking myself hard when I'm not hitting the 10, you know what I mean? Because
That's great. Well, that's how you work, isn't it? It's great. That's what it should
but
be.
I don't. Some people do 1 episode a week or whatever, but they'll do like a long one, like an hour or whatever. Whereas my 3 to 5 dual episodes are normally 30 to 45 minutes, and then the ones I do myself, they're usually 5, 10, or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So
I think, my personal view on it is that I would prefer to be in that point. I mean, 30 to 40 minutes. I mean, to see a podcast for an hour and a half, I'd have to be doing something like I just think 35 minutes, 40 minutes is when you go for a good run, when you go for a good run.
Yeah. Or a
right
journey in the car from one appointment to another, because I'm looking to try and reach out to salespeople, entrepreneurs, that sort of thing. People who are in the car a lot, going to meetings, so hopefully they'll squeeze me in between one meeting and another, and then obviously I'm putting the content on YouTube as well. So when I first started, I was just podcasting, recording the episodes, but then I realized I could actually YouTube at the same time by doing them on Zoom. So, and I got a range of backgrounds so I can change so that it mixes it up so it doesn't just all the videos don't look the same.
Yeah, that's a bit disappointing. I thought you were right on the sunny beach of Cardiff there, mate.
Yeah, no, this is just it's where my heart lies, in Cardiff Bay. I used to have an apartment in Cardiff Bay. I was recently living in Penarth Marina. I'm back up in the Gwent Valley at the moment, but I will be back in probably Penarth or Cardiff Bay sometime soon. But I just love the bay. I love the ride around the bay.
Whatever happens, there's nothing wrong with the Gwent Valley, mate. You take the Gwent Valley from the boy. You can take the Gwent Valley out of the boy, but you can't take the Gwent out of the boy. So I'm a Gwent Valley boy myself.
I don't mind the Gwent Valley either, but I'm from Cardiff, you know what I mean? And you can take the Cardiff boy out of Cardiff, but you can't take Cardiff out of the boy.
No, that's it. Yeah, but that's what.
I have some good rides around, around me in, Crumlin, Newbridge, Abercarn. There's some nice rides around, but it's not Cardiff Bay. The one I like about Cardiff Bay is you can look out to the water. You can, get that sense of peace and distance and all of that. You can look out to the sea as well from the barrage. But you also can look into, you can see the Millennium Stadium, you can see the Millennium Centre. You've got that iconic view of Cardiff. That used to be just outside my house. I love.
Oh no, they're on it. I think that. Look, don't get me wrong. I've never lived down the bay specifically, but if we ever came back, we'd probably go to Penarth. I think for that reason.
Yeah.
I think I'd live up on top where Colin Jackson lives. I remember doing when I was working for Smarter Kitchens when I came back. We did a kitchen up there. Beautiful area, but I love that bit. I think coming down, we've decided to come to the sea now, and my wife's sort of pretty as adamant that we don't turn our back on the sea, And
I love it. I love water. I don't know what it is about water, but
it's soothing, isn't it? It's calming and it's soothing.
But also as well, it's a bit like like I've been to the Grand Canyon, for example, and there's just certain places like you look into it and it reminds you how small you are on the planet, really, and it gives you that sense of perspective and distance and stuff. I like to look out and think sometimes, it's nice to know, you're only here for a short period of time,
Yeah,
Make the most of it.
Then you end up back in the sea anyway. So yeah, totally. I totally agree. Look, and I think I love, we came back, like I said, to see Cardiff and see family and, we loved it. I love it. I loved coming back, but I did really enjoy the journey coming back and then seeing the sea as I came around the corner, So yeah, like I know that's where we'll always be. I think we'll always be by the sea, and the next property I get will be by the seaside with a nice view. I'm lucky enough to have one at the moment, but we'll have another one down by the seaside, right on the beach, so I can take my boat out and then go for fishing. And that's what it's got to be, innit? Goals, hashtag goals, mate, isn't it?
It's always good to have goals. Got to aim big. Got to aim big. So
yeah, totally, and I totally, an advocate of that. Let's stop thinking small. Let's think big.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I'm reading a 10x book and The Magic of Thinking Big at the moment because I've always been a big thinker, but I'm going up. I'm thinking and going up bigger levels than I've ever thought before because globalization is happening. The technology is in place. I can reach anywhere around the world through my podcast, through my YouTube channel, through my social media. So I've always done those
I'll tell you
things.
what. Sorry to interrupt you. There's a good book I'm on at the moment talking about books, but so I'm reading How to Set Goals with
Yeah.
Kaizen and Ikigai. Have you ever heard of Ikigai?
No.
So Ikigai is obviously Japanese. It's a Japanese prelim about finding yourself and finding who you are and what you are. And Ikigai is about basically is a very famous place in Japan where they've got the most 100-year-olds in per capita, 100-year-old people in this little village. There's probably, I think there was, on last count, there's about 15 people in this really small village in Japan that have lived over 100. And it's all about their Ikigai, what exactly they believe in and how they set goals. Really good book, impactful. And it really is, it's really interesting. I love Japanese culture.
Yeah.
So that's a book I'm doing at the moment, which is a really good one, mate, for any listeners that are interested in finding goals, setting goals. Yeah, you should do it. I'll send it over to you. It's a great book. I've read it 3 times. It's amazing. It's only 3 hours long.
With your contact in Japan as well, because I want to get people from all around the world on my podcast and on my YouTube channel. So connect me on Messenger.
Sarah's very interesting. Sarah's a good friend of mine from school. She's very interested. She's doing a PhD, or she's a professor. And she came around Wales when she last came back. And basically one of the studies she's doing, she's interviewed tried to interview all the Welsh expats that have left Wales, entrepreneurs that have done really well. So she did the Celtic Manor, the CEO or the owner of the Celtic Manor, Mr. Terry Matthews. And she's basically gone everywhere. America, she's really good. So she's really she's a professor in entrepreneurialism. So she's a really good contact for you to have a chat with, because she's on it like a car bonnet as well. Lovely girl.
Send a messenger from yourself to her and me, just connecting us, and I'll carry on the conversation then on Messenger. But how do people get in touch with you, John, if they want to get in touch with you for either the nightclub or
look, I'm on LinkedIn, mate. LinkedIn's probably the best. I've got over sort of 24,000 followers on there, or members on there. So get in touch on LinkedIn. You best bet. Put Jon Saunders in there. And then you get
that's Jon for everyone who's listening, Jon Saunders, and check him out, connect with him.
Yeah, just check me out on there, mate. That's the best way to contact. Message me on there. Any mortgages, any nights out in Brighton, anything you want to chat about, just message me out, mate. But that'd be brilliant.
Brilliant. All right, then. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast again and for give us an update of where you're at, and have a great day.
Always a pleasure, Mike. Crack on, son.
Nice one. Okay, nothing else left for me to say now other than have a great day. I know I will. And thanks very much for listening.